He's supposed to be, but he still seems as keen as mustard.
No idea. Keen as mustard to tie the knot, though.
My men are as keen as mustard, sir.
He's as keen as mustard is.
Tom, I'll run round, I'll slip in the window and get that knives out quick as a flash.
Problems? No wonder she married you quick as a flash and then had the baby just 7 months later. Because the baby was someone else's.
Cleaned out that icebox as quick as a flash.
She said, quick as a flash, they're like white people at home who don't want black people to learn.
Family son blood.
I don't even know why.
Thick as thieves.
You and Si reconciled?
Thick as thieves.
Family son blood.
I don't even know why.
Thick as thieves.
Now you look thick as thieves.
You and I are as thick as thieves, love.
You two seemed as thick as thieves.
Please, you two are still thick as thieves.
Liz and Frankie are best friends. They're thick as thieves.
These two would be thick as thieves.
Rising. I say by the end of the evening, you two will be thick as thieves.
And TGS is my family, and my family is thick as thieves.
Now, but the second was to get media, and media was all over this like a rash.
Rash. Interesting. This classic ATM example is all over the web like a rash.
Myalgia, alopecia, a rash.
You have to stop saying that you're going to move to Canada whenever you're mad at something in the U.S.
And Todd's as dry as a bone.
I'm not killing for that, I'll dry as dust.
Or agape as the effective willing of the good of the other. Now that sounds, as I say, dry as dust, but think about it for a moment.
Yes, I'll be dealing with these dry as dust cases, but deep down, all of these cases are about really fundamental issues of political and moral and ethical theory.
So what are your initial thoughts on the debate?
The thoughts are that constitutional law remains as dry as dust.
Course where you've got your textbook and it's dry as dust. It was this vast army of people that if it weren't for them, we wouldn't have been able to do the study either. So having librarians trained in not the usual statistics course where you've got your textbook and it's dry as dust, but where they get their hands dirty, they're out there, they're observing and understanding in their souls what research means. Course where you've got your textbook and it's dry as dust, but where they get their hands dirty, they're out there, they're in the library, they're observing and understanding in their souls what research means.
That's how St. Thomas Aquinas defines charity or agape. Thomas, as you know, Thomas has a gift for sounding dry as dust, but he's always brilliant.
The cornbread was as dry as dust. It was served up with no filet and no rice, and the cornbread was as dry as dust.
Academics, particular diffusion whose markers enables us to get Brace's ideas to really interesting and important areas of the religious market, and not just to the narrow academic area which we might otherwise approach, as dry as dust academics as we are.
The local roads were as poor. There were wind and water mills. Outside the remaining Roman roads, the local roads were as dry as dust in summer and became swamps in winter.
Against what they called plaster cast antiquity and dry as dust philology.
And dry as dust.
These walkers are stealthy, as silent as the grave from whence they came.
Do you hear that?
No.
All is silent as the grave.
Shall be silent as the grave.
Silent as the grave.
Silent as the grave.
We'll both be as silent as the grave.
We shall be invisible and silent as the grave.
I can assure you,
I am as silent as the grave.
Belly, have you seen my big kettlebell, the 20-pound one?
Steven,
It was a church mouse.
I'm not a huge fan of heavy foundation, sort of a clay, looks like she face planted in the mud flats at low tide. I'm not a fan.
I'm well aware of your church mouse status.
I'm